Hey folks, welcome back to, I started to say Rugby Ascendant, that's in a couple hours over on another channel, but welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports, live from central Pennsylvania with a broadcast coming from the squirrel himself, the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, addressing the spate or spat of poisonings that have taken place recently. So how are we doing? Is the sound all right? Let me just take a peek over here real quick and see what it sounds like. Sounds kind of hollow, like I'm in a den somewhere, in a den somewhere. Unless I get real close to the microphone and kiss it, then it sounds a lot better. All right, folks, welcome in. We're going to talk about this, working for the squirrel. Well, he's supposed to have been on, but now they've updated and say live in 4 minutes, so we'll see. Now, there's a bunch of poisonings. Some people have died. Others have been very poorly affected by this, so we'll see what happens. This is unusual. I'm not sure if this is just Cyril trying to show that he's still relevant in the government of national unity since he's not doing much of anything. But thanks. Let me say hello to everybody as we get started here. For those of you who hung around from the last broadcast, thank you. Those of you showing up now, thank you for being here. Do appreciate your presence. We have just a fraction of what a couple other people who are actually broadcasting this have. But Devo says, whilst food poisoning is a huge concern, just pity he never spoke about thousands of brutal farm murders. Well, no, that's because there are no farm murders, Devos. Don't you know that? There's no such thing as farm murders. It's a right-wing white supremacy conspiracy, according to ANC politicians. Of course, we know that over approximately 4,000 people have been murdered on farms in South Africa since 1994, and it has not stopped. And we know that there's a whole bunch of different causes for it, including criminal syndicates that are active, corrupt police involved in some of these things, and just others taking advantage of their black supremacy to wipe out whites, coloreds, and Indians on farms. And we hear idiotic excuses for why it happens, but there's a lot going on there. All right, so still waiting for this thing. I have SABC feed, so it's supposed to be live. It actually is live now, but there's nothing happening. So as soon as it comes on, we will bring it up on the screen and we'll listen to the squirrel. He's never on time, so don't be surprised. ANC inherited health inspectors from the old government who achieved that goal. Family meetings are idiotic and pointless. Stupid as stupid does. Yep. Keith Alderson, welcome to you. Dylan Kumbrick. Meerkat says there are other national crises he needs to bring. Yeah, gender-based violence, rape, cash in transit heist, farm murders. Yes. I get the feeling he's just checking while deck chairs need to go. Yeah, I think that's what it is. We haven't heard from him, since the election, essentially. And so he just wants to be on air. Since they own SABC, they get to do this. Coyer says no longer eating food will prevent food poisoning. Problem solved. Well, yeah, but not eating food will lead to death eventually. Your body fat runs out. Rian Ran says, rest in peace, my beloved South Africa. Yeah, it's definitely a country on life support. Meerkat wants to know why he's addressing the nation. The poisonings happen because his party's bad governance. Exactly, because they don't do food inspections properly. They don't crack down on unlicensed food preparation places and food production areas, and this is what you get. Also, the counterfeit. I mean, look at that star fish being expired, being relabeled and stuck in boxes, claiming it was from Woolworths. It's just sick what goes on, and this government is corrupt. It does nothing to stop it. So, yep. Let me move the arm up a little bit here because I'm exhibiting poor posture. There we go. That's a little bit better right there. All right. So what else we got here? Awkward Leon is here. Hope Cupcake isn't late. Well, he is late. There's nothing happening yet. And George says Ronaldo was boring. Okay. Arctic is back. Good to see you again, Arctic. Good to see you there. Richard Kuhn, Vilma Erasmus, Jaco Schlebusch. Where are you, Cyril? That's a good one. I like that. 75 more student poison in hospitals. Good God. Matt freaking Gates. What the heck is happening, Coyer? Well, Trump wants a loyalist. He wants someone that'll do what he says and wants to go after people who, so that's his pick. I don't agree with it. I also don't agree with his defense pick or his national intelligence pick. That's three that I scratch my head. The rest of them, I'm pretty comfortable with. Yep. So, but I mean, they're not my picks. I didn't win the election. They're Donald Trump's picks. So, Topsy Kretz. Oh my goodness, Topsy Kretz is here. My good, it has been forever. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of you have been following me for a few years, but Topsy Kretz and I go back 24, almost 25 years. Don't we, Topsy Kretz? We've known each other for almost 25 years. Topsy Kretz was a wet behind the ears young boy when I first knew him. He is very much an adult and successful businessman now. Topsy Kretz, how's it going there, brother? Good to see you. Wow, it's, man, the clock keeps ticking. It just keeps going over. It's already November 15th of 2024. I started doing this stuff in February of 2020. Can you imagine? In February 2025, it'll be 5 years. Wow. Yep, facts 100%. Well, that's all you ever get here is facts. Well, you get analysis and opinion, but you get the facts. Yep. So in the crowd, I think he's got the distinction of knowing me longer than anybody else. But that won't get you a cup of coffee here in Pennsylvania. Neville just finished making bangers and mash. Ooh, well, that's a very English sort of meal there, bangers and mash. And Tupsy Kretz says, Happy Friday, Liberty's Triumph. Tupsy Kretz, do you feel a weight having been lifted here in America? It's a new morning in America. People are speaking freely. They're just disregarding the woke nonsense, even on social media, and getting away with it for the moment anyway, as people diss on the transgender, abomination. Not transgenderism, that's not what they're dissing on, but the political nonsense goes along with it, and speak the truth about what's going on. They're calling out Michael Strahan for not putting his hand over his heart at a football game when he was at a naval base. Ouch, that was bad form there. Young, short beard, retired colonel when I met you. Yeah, it's true, Arctic. And then the beard got longer. Yeah, so he's still not there, folks. Still not there. People are saying in the chat, Ramaphosa must fall. Well, I think there's a sentiment that a lot of people agree with. Yeah. Peanut is on tape saying there were no farm murders. Good guy. Yes, he was. The squirrel was actually at the United Nations right after he came in office and said that's not true. What Donald Trump tweeted is not true. There are no farm murders. There are no people being killed in farms out there. This is total crock of nonsense. I can name a lot of people. Also, we all know where the Vitkreuz monument is up there in Petersburg, or now called Polokwane. Yeah, this is nonsense. That's one place I haven't been in South Africa. I was invited to go there, but that trip fell apart. The Sightlanders were going to go up there, and they didn't. We wound up doing an event in Pretoria instead. Got me free food when meeting with you. Oh, that's cool, Dylan. All right. That's cool. I don't remember. George Steinberg says, salute. Thank you very much, George. And we're waiting for Ramaphosa. I don't need him to be late today because I need a Pause. Also, ich brauche eine kleine Pause, weil ich habe viel noch zu tun heute. Wir haben noch eine Sendung von Rugby. Das fängt 15 Uhr an. Das ist innerhalb 3 Stunden. Und ich möchte eine kleine Pause machen und etwas fressen. Und weil Hunger habe ich riesengroß. Und oh, sorry, I fell into German there. No, I need Cyril to be on time. I need a break when I'm done here. I've been busy all morning, and I need to get some sustenance and then get ready for the Ireland-Argentina game. So I haven't downloaded the team lineups yet, the images. Well, I might as well do that while we're waiting for Cyril here. My goodness, Cyril must fall. Yeah, the people are going off on him in the chat over here. Ray Reed, you love rugby, Biltong, and Bordermeister. Is there a special Meister? No, Meerkat. There's not a special Bordermeister. I like them all. Cooking up rump steak. People have to remember, I grew up on a farm. At least, in my high school years, I was a dairy farmer. So farm girls, I always love that. FarmersOnly.com. I love those ads. FarmersOnly.com. It's good stuff. Yeah, that was good stuff. Cooking up rump steak. Rump steak is popular, but I just have a little trouble eating something called rump. Did you get some rump tonight? I sure did. So that was the problem is that we have long since had a president who is, for the people, yeah. Yeah, HP. Oh, HP sauce, man. I used to love HP sauce when I was a kid. Yep. Good stuff. Yep. But I haven't had that in ages. So, wow. Haven't had that in ages. Also, we don't have an all-star who can compete. Well, there's a fair point right there. No, when I saw Garrett mention Peanut, I thought he was talking about the squirrel that was euthanized in the U.S. That was a tragic situation. These evil people killing the squirrel. That didn't hurt Trump's case either. Yeah, so he's still not there. Wow. He is taking a long time to rock up on this Friday afternoon. Wow. My colleague has got quite the audience over there.
Or like salty cracks, but hopefully one day when I have a job again, I can get a Tesla and maybe a very nice electric car.
Ooh, Ronaldo's got big dreams there. He wants a Tesla. Teslas are freaking bat crap crazy expensive. I can't afford a Tesla as a retired colonel. But the Ronaldo has big dreams, man. He wants a Tesla. Well, good for him. It's always good to dream big. Jaco from Billion, welcome back. Good to see you again. Yep. HP on fried eggs. Meerkat. Okay. Don't be telling me that stuff, man. I haven't eaten. I'm starving here. I'm kind of hungry. Yeah, let's do a poll. Hang on. That was rough, that cough. Let me go back over. We'll do a poll. So, when... Okay, let's see. Okay. Come on, if he shows up while I'm doing the poll, it's going to ruin things. Trying to set the poll up. All right, so when will the squirrels show up? So one of these is in 5 minutes, and then a little bit after that. So when is he going to show up? Let's see who wins the poll in this one. Worcestershire shear sauce. That's some good stuff there, man. Yeah, Worcestershire shear sauce. Yep. There we go. Come on. There we go. All right, so the poll's up. Your chance to answer it. Might as well put an ad in while we're waiting. See who gets an ad. So it's great to say Cyril must fall, but who will replace him? Well, that's a real question. My pick, Valencosi Halabisa or Peter Hernevat. That would be my pick for president of the Republic. Yep. The only one who has a real shot at that might be Halabisa. So squirrels should rather address high food prices. More people die from starvation. Yeah, that's probably a fair point. Not to mention stunting. The number of South Africans who suffer from stunting is just shocking. It should not happen in a developed country or a pseudo-developed country like South Africa, where kids grow up with limited mental capacity because they receive insufficient protein from the age of birth to the age of 5. That's an unnecessary own goal. Mark Bennett's here. He says, doesn't the president realize that as a first citizen, he should set the example, being time? He doesn't care, man. He doesn't care about that. Come on. Who are you kidding? Well, he's now 11 minutes late. Yep. Haxe und Schäufele mit Kartoffeln, Kraut und Weißbier. Oh, stop it, Gert. You're making me really hungry. All right. What else we got here? Well, the poll's in the way now. I can't see the chat. I have to go back over to the other window. All right. No one will vote for Peter. I'm still starved. Yeah. According to 2021 South African Child Gauge report in UNICEF, 27% of South African children suffer. Oh, there you go. Thank you, PK. I didn't know the figure. I didn't know that, but I knew it was more than a quarter. I wasn't going to venture a guess because I hadn't looked at the data recently. So there you go. 27% of South African children are mentally limited, and you can't recover that. If you don't get adequate protein from the age of birth to the age of 5, your brain will not fully develop to its potential, and you'll be limited mental capacity. So nearly 1/3 of South African children are mentally stunted. Wow. But actually, it's a better figure than government. I mean, in government, about 75% of the people in parliament are mentally stunted. So, it's, 6 of one, half dozen the other. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So, and now people are leaving because he's not here. Well, it's not my fault, man. Don't leave my stream just because he's not here. I don't control the squirrel. I do control this. Look into my eyes. Here you go. Look into my eyes. Let me see if I can do this. That's not what I wanted. It only spins a couple times. You're feeling very sleepy. Very sleepy. Super chat. Super chat. Be careful. I'll make me send one to myself. Julia set Cyril's clock back 2 hours. Oh, is South Africa now experiencing daylight savings time? That's a new development in South Africa. Oh my goodness. Why is that a SAPS report? Why would SAPS be reporting on child stunting? Live at 7:30. It's now 7:43 in South Africa. Well, Cyril, this guy is such a disrespectful clown. Don't announce a time if you can't make it. I mean, unless, the bomb just went up, there's no reason for him not to be on right now. Wow. 1,500 children were murdered. Oh, that's why. I thought that was stunting. That's about murder. Yeah. That's SAPS is the right place to get that information. Sorry, your message wasn't showing fully up on my screen. Neville loves the weather in Britain. Well, you must love rain. Of course, people from Botswana and Namibia, they love rain. In fact, in Botswana, the pula, which is rain, is in water. Is it's not water. It's rain. Pula is rain. it's the currency. I mean, it's such an important thing in the Kalahari that pula is so important. That is their currency. Of course, water in Setswana is not pula, it's metsi. Metsi. It's a cool word for water. Metsi. Boy, he's getting just grilled. He's just getting castigated badly in the chat. He doesn't care, though. Doesn't care, because he's Cyril Ramaphosa, and he's got all the coin he's ever going to need. A life of luxury, security guards, protection, everything. And he can do what he wants. He can have his security services violate the law and hunt down people who stole his money that he received illicitly and then torture them, purportedly, and chase them across the border in Namibia, collude with Namibian authorities to beat them up and interrogate them, and then, cover it all up for 2 years and then deny it ever happened. So, he can do what he wants, man. Farm life is good, but farm life is very, it's good. It's very challenging. Well, farm life is not for everyone. That's why it's ridiculous that the ANC's plan was to put 1 million black South Africans on farms, subsistence farms. I think 1 million black South Africans, by and large, would prefer to have a plot of land where a house is, or they can build a house, own free title deed to it, and then therefore have equity and an asset that they can pledge to borrow money or to do things. I think that's probably what most black South Africans probably want. Mivo Tanda says, just hoping Sir would definitely show some love for South Africans rather than standing with the ANC. No, he's not going to betray the ANC. These people don't. Look at even Jacob Zuma is desperately seeking Susan. He's so desperate to rejoin the ANC, it's pathetic. Well, hopefully he'll be mercifully short if he's going to be this late. I mean, this is really tardy. So where is this clown at? Yep. Still not here. Wow. Crazy. Oh, he's on.
A lady in Soweto, in which 6 children died.
Why is he not showing up?
The youngest of these children was just 6 years old. Few words can adequately convey our sadness and our pain as a nation. And prayers, our thoughts and prayers.
Sorry, folks, we got it.
Are with their families as they go through the pain and the anguish of losing their children. Losing a child is something that no parent should ever have to go through and endure.
True.
The young children who died were not just the children of their families. They were
the
our nation's children.
Oh, shut up. They're not the nation's children, idiot.
Our people have every right to be upset and to be angry in the face of such tragedies. At a time like this, we need to unite as a country and work together to end these deaths. We must do what it takes to make sure that such tragedies never happen again.
If you'd done your job all along, it wouldn't happen.
As soon as the deaths occurred, multidisciplinary teams in government were activated to address these incidents.
Why weren't they activated prior to the
These
death?
teams included police, health officials, environmental inspectors, Department of Agriculture officials, and officials from the National Consumer Commission.
I love how the ANC always wants credit for responding after they cause a crisis.
Has met on 3 occasions to receive reports from these departments on the recent incidents. This is what we now know. The National Institute of Communicable Diseases
Was sleeping on the job.
was requested to conduct scientific tests and established that the deaths of the 6 children in Naledi, Soweto, can be directly attributed to a highly hazardous chemical used as a pesticide known as Turbophos.
Oh, jeez.
Turbophos can have serious health effects,
Yeah, like death.
even at low levels of exposure. Turbophos is an organophosphate chemical
You got a hard time with
that
that
is
word.
registered in our country for agricultural use.
It's legal.
it is not allowed to be sold for general household use.
No, it's for agricultural use.
However, this chemical is being informally sold as a so-called street pesticide for domestic use in townships, in informal settlements, to control rats and rodents.
Why haven't you stopped it?
Samples were taken from 84 spaza shops in Naledi. Of these, 3 had evidence of Terbofos, this chemical. After stringent testing, a chip packet found on one of the children who had died had traces of Terbofos on both the inside and the outside of the packet.
Good Lord.
As part of the investigation into the deaths that
Can you
occurred
imagine
in
your
Naledi,
kids go to the spaza shop and buy crisps?
inspectors
and die.
confiscated a number of illegal pesticides from spaza shops. They found instances where food was being stored alongside pesticides and detergents. It was also found that these spaza shops lacked proper safe food storage,
You think?
hand and dishwashing facilities,
You think?
increasing the likelihood of food contamination. Even as our investigations are ongoing, it is critical to understand that this is not a problem that is confined to spaza shops and other informal traders.
No, it's
It seems
butcheries.
to be widespread.
Yeah, of course, because your
The
country's an
unregulated
idiotic
use
governance.
of restricted pesticides in communities has become a growing problem
For decades.
with devastating consequences.
Because you neglected to deal with it.
In many townships, another chemical, aldicarb, and an organophosphate known as galliperini are commonly sold by street vendors and hawkers to control rat infestation.
So is this racism because they ignore the plight of black people?
Aldicarb has been banned for use in South Africa since 2016. Last year, 3 children in Ekurhuleni and 3 children in Soweto died after exposure to aldicarb. In responding to these tragedies, we need to understand the cause of this challenge in our communities. One of the reasons that people use pesticides for is to deal with rat infestation or prevalence. The problem of rat prevalence or infestation is due in part to poor waste management in several areas where our people live.
You think?
Rubbish is not collected regularly.
Yeah, service failure.
Streets are not cleaned. as they
Service
should
delivery
be,
failure.
creating conditions for rats and other pests
By the ANC.
to thrive.
And filthy
Often
people.
the poorest communities are the worst affected,
Of course they are.
and often the cheapest remedies that are used are these highly hazardous substances like Terbofos and aldicarb. Another challenge is that responsibility for environmental health that should happen in our communities is the responsibility of local government. Many municipalities do not have the capacity and resources to conduct inspections of these businesses
And whose fault is
enforce
that? They
regulations.
used to. Chase them all out.
Our response must therefore address all these factors that contribute to the problem.
The ANC contributes to the problem.
We also need to prevent the spread of misinformation which has been prevalent. The investigations that have taken place do not suggest any deliberate campaign to poison children in our country.
Mm.
There is also no evidence that the problem is confined to spaza shops that are owned by foreign nationals only. These products are just as likely to be sold in shops that are also owned by South Africans. We all have a duty as the state, as a society, as parents and families to protect those amongst us who are most vulnerable.
But you don't.
These are our children.
They're not your children.
Following the special meeting of Cabinet, we have decided to make the following interventions. The first intervention is to get hazardous pesticides off our streets and our shelves.
Good luck. They're going to be out there
The
for
second
years.
critical intervention is to protect children from exposure to these substances.
And how are you going to do that?
The third critical intervention is to prevent future outbreaks.
Delusional.
The following measures will be implemented with immediate effect. To get hazardous pesticides off the street, we now have directed that the spaza shops, which have been implicated in the deaths of children registered within 21 days and does not meet all health standards and requirements, will be closed.
I knew this was coming.
The South African Police Service and other law enforcement agencies will be required to investigate, to arrest, and to prosecute offenders.
Of course they will.
This will involve close cooperation with all registered manufacturers, retailers, and suppliers. Integrated multidisciplinary inspection teams will undertake compliance inspections of food handling facilities, manufacturers, distributors,
There's tens of thousands
wholesale
of
and
them.
retailers. This will include spaza shops as well as general dealers. Non-compliant businesses and shops linked to any poisoning incidents or found to unlawfully stock hazardous chemicals will be shut down and the law will take its course. A massive campaign of door-to-door inspection of all spaza shops, tuck shops and other informal traders will be undertaken, starting
by
with
whom?
Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal.
By whom? You don't have the inspectors,
This will be undertaken by interdisciplinary inspections,
which
teams
means unqualified
consisting
inspectors.
of the South African Military Health Services, which did very well during COVID,
Oh, of course.
environmental health practitioners, the South African Police Service, the National Council of Consumers,
Good Lord.
labor inspectors, and others. The initial phase of inspections will need to be completed within a month. All registered manufacturers of tuberfors will be inspected, that is their premises, to ensure that no products are diverted into non-agricultural markets.
Not going to happen.
The supply chain process for distribution and sale of tuberfors will be investigated to ensure that controls are being adhered to.
There's the key word,
and that there
control.
is accountability.
Ooh,
for
lack of
who
accountability.
They sell to in the agricultural sector. Regulations and protocols on the traceability,
We could have read a press release. It's just
repackaging,
reading
and
this.
distribution and sale of pesticides, insecticides, and foodstuffs will be strengthened.
How? There's no
The
money.
second intervention is about the protection of children from exposure to harmful substances.
How about exposure to BS from the government?
The Department of Basic Education will immediately issue a circular to provincial education departments and all schools on best practice protocols for preventing and managing foodborne illnesses within schools.
At the pit latrines.
By the start of the new school year, the Department of Basic Education and school governing bodies, together with the Department of Health, will review and update the guidelines for schools on the management of suppliers of foodstuffs to all schools. This will include tuck shops operated at these schools and indeed everyone who sells food just outside the
But what
school
about the
premises.
4,000 pit
A
latrines?
public education campaign will be launched
Of course.
aimed at children, parents, caregivers,
Wash
and the
your
broader
hands.
community on the food safety issues and the identification, the handling,
George.
and storage of dangerous chemicals.
But dangerous
This
politicians.
campaign will also include the Government Communication Information Service.
Of course it
It will
will.
include government departments and agencies. We will also get industry organizations and civil society formations to also participate in this. And this will be complemented by a public education campaign aimed at communities, owners of shops, informal traders and other retailers on health, safety and hygiene regulations, and the identification of hazardous products and regulations that apply to hazardous products.
Oh, I'm
Legal
starting to fall
consequences
asleep. Hey, there's a super chat from Rolf for good quality coffee. Thank you for that, Rolf.
Ministers of
will help.
Basic Education and Health and other government departments will classify certain pesticides and insecticides not suitable for home use or dangerous objects that may not be brought or used on
Why aren't they already designated not suitable?
This will be undertaken in terms of the regulations,
Children died last year.
safety measures for public schools.
So you're criminally negligent not coming out with this prior
Third
today.
intervention will be aimed at preventing future outbreaks.
Get rid of the ANC.
I have directed that the joint operational and intelligence structures be established at national and provincial level to deal with this crisis. In dealing with this crisis, our local municipalities will be required to take urgent action to address the problem of rat infestations by cleaning cities and towns and removing waste.
The ANC, the rats
All
will be
municipal
removed.
landfills sites will be required to comply with the National Environmental Management Waste Act,
They're not already required
and failure to comply will result in strict sanctions
unless you pay a bribe.
that include directives, compliance notices, and yes, enforcement measures.
Not if you're a caterer, you get away with it.
Now, a ministerial
Ken.
health advisory committee is being set up to develop medium and long-term prevention measures.
Yeah, what are they hiding there?
This
then?
committee will consist of experts such as toxicologists, pediatricians, chemical pathologists, epidemiologists, forensic pathologists, and others. All deaths
Oh,
of
God.
patients who are 12 years and below will now be made notifiable in terms of the notifiable medical condition surveillance system.
And they weren't previously? Why not?
An electronic medical certification of death will be established
Oh, God.
to allow the National Department of Health to access cause of death information immediately after a death is
Your
certified.
bureaucracy isn't capable of doing half the things you said.
The work of the Biosecurity Hub will be strengthened to better control the entry of products,
The biosecurity hub.
organisms, and harmful biological products at ports of entry.
So you're blaming foreigners for it now.
The Department of Agriculture is in the process of reviewing and updating all relevant legislation with respect to the regulation and authorization of agricultural pesticides for use in our country. A joint fund of 500 million rand will be established by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition
500 million rand from
and
where?
small business development to support township and rural businesses, including community convenience stores. The funding will be for the refurbishment of businesses and non-financial support in terms of technical skills, regulatory compliance,
God.
and capacity building.
You're getting ill.
As we undertake these
Listen to him.
interventions and measures, there is a lot that we can do as parents to protect our children.
Keep them away from the ANC.
As consumers and parents, if we buy food or send our children to buy food, it must only be from places that are licensed to sell foodstuffs and that observe food safety regulations. We must make it a habit to check that food is prepared in a clean and hygienic area. We must make sure that foodstuffs being sold have a clear branding and labels. The names of manufacturers must be clearly depicted, and that they do not have expiry dates that have long passed. We must educate our children about food safety and teach them to check for this labeling themselves. Anyone who sees fake foodstuffs and expired foodstuffs being sold in our communities should report them to the National Consumer Commission.
See something, say something.
The number for the National Consumer Commission is 012 065 1940. 012 065
8675309. 8675309.
We have to take greater care with the storage and the utilization of pesticides and dangerous chemicals, as not doing so has dire consequences.
Ooh, indeed.
We must only buy pesticides that are in their original containers.
You already said this.
And that are clearly labeled for household use. All dangerous chemicals must be kept out of reach of children.
Oh, really? I just leave it on the counter.
Spaza shops,
bleach unattended.
street vendors have a special responsibility.
Do they now?
For the health and safety of their customers. They need to operate responsibly and in terms of our laws. They need to observe certain basic practices about food safety.
Oh, dear God.
For example,
oh, thank you for the
they
example.
must not use the same containers or implements for chemical substances and food.
So I can't put fertilizer inside my
Only
dinner dish?
pesticides and chemicals registered for household use may be sold. They must be clearly labeled and in their original packaging.
Then how can I resell them?
Establishments found to be in possession of pesticides that are restricted or banned will face legal consequences.
Ooh, unless you pay abroad.
Once again, South Africans are called to work together to overcome this great difficulty that has befallen us. We are far from being helpless, and there is much that we can do when we work together. Each one of us needs to be better informed about the risk of pesticides and other dangerous products. And we need to be informed about the safety of the food that we consume. Each of us needs to take responsibility for the safety and well-being of those around us, particularly the children of our nation. And I do believe that by working together, by enforcing the law, by being alert and responsible, we'll be able to bring an end to these tragedies. Once again, we extend our condolences
Of course you do.
to the families of the children who have passed away, and hope that the Almighty God will give them strength to go through
Almighty
this
God.
very difficult period that they are going through. Morena boloka setjhaba sa heso.
Oh my goodness.
Modimo va patutshedze Africa Tshipembe. Morena o boloke setjhaba sa heso. Nkosi sikelele Africa. God sien South Africa, and God bless South Africa and all of us.
Oh, dear God. Oh, you're very welcome, Cyril. My goodness. That's just terrific, folks. Wow. Wow. Wow, I don't know what to say about that other than that was sleep-inducing. That is just pathetic. I mean, the vast majority of what Sir Ramaphosa just said, the government has no capacity to do it. And here's the bigger question. Why isn't this already being done? It was done in the past. How come it's not being done by the ANC? Where have they been diverting that money to for the past 27, 30 years? Where's the money gone? How do you keep food properly refrigerated with rolling blackouts? Well, light rain, that's a very good question, too, with load shedding. Cole says, when will the day come he will face treason charges? Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question. Debzon says products and not so products, but Oh, products. Yeah, yeah. He said good. I think he meant God. He said good. Anyway, please stop the cock. Well, we stopped it, Sean. It's over. The pain is over. Ivermectin, fenbendazole, hydrochloroquine getting off the market. Stock up. Yep. We're all still hungry, says Debson. Steve says, shame. It looks like he was about to have tears. What a slut. Said earlier, it's worth repeating. South Africa is a wonderful country to live in, except if you're an average South African. Viva ANC and Gandla. Yeah, no, folks, I don't know what to tell you. This guy is a deuce. He's an idiot. It just shows you that people get, they get elected to the highest level of incompetency they could possibly go. Yeah, I wonder how much of that money wound up in a sofa. That's a good question. Yeah, this is unreal, folks. So, look, you just heard from the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, who's completely clueless. He says we have a multidisciplined, interdisciplinary, interagency team that's going to go out and they're going to enforce this. And by the end of the month, everybody will be licensed. Now, this is just a power grab. So they're going to take advantage of this situation when they should have been doing their job previously now to force tuck shops and spaza shops to get licenses so that they can tax them and so they can record them. So this will have a very serious negative impact on the informal marketplace, which is about a third of South Africa's economy. 25-30% is informal sector. Whereas in much of Africa, particularly in West Africa, we're talking 70% of the marketplace or more oftentimes. But in South Africa, it's a small percentage, but it's very significant. And a lot of people rely on the informal sector. This will have a devastating impact on the informal sector. And dare I say that this push is racist because the people targeted in the informal sector will be overwhelmingly black South Africans. He's also made promises to South Africans, our people, once again. He only cares about black South Africans, but our people. He's made tons of promises that he will not fulfill. He doesn't have the resources or the competence to do the things he just talked about. So there you have it, folks. Really sad and pathetic. But hey, that's the ANC. That's the best they have to offer. That's sad. And by the way, that man was elected by the Democratic Alliance. That's how he got elected. So if you're angry with Cyril Ramaphosa, you can thank the Democratic Alliance for his ascendancy. Yep. What else? Almighty God. Yep. A Freudian slip. Yeah. There's no problem too big or too small to solve by a 21-day lockdown. Yep. PK said need to close these places down. But no, they would rather pay people to tell us how kids died. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, another money grab. Exactly right. It's a money grab. They're going to try to they're shaking down spas and tuck shops. Yep. On my way to work, I ride past at least 20 tables selling produce at the side of the road and people selling biscuits at traffic lights. Most are doing it because they don't have a job. Exactly. Yes, Sean correctly says the demonic alliance. Yep. The informal work sector has to be all unemployed minus those involved in crime. That I do not know. That is supposed to be our government job. These guys are so thick they bry on MDF cuts. Anyway, that was pretty pathetic, to say the least, from Cyril. And he arrived 15 minutes late, and then he's gone already. We're only 45 minutes into this. Yeah, I don't know what to say, folks. That's just, it's heartbreaking to see how disconnected, incompetent, and useless the government of South Africa is. These are all basic things that should have been done. The government's responsible for controlling and regulating insecticides. Apparently, they failed to do that. The government is responsible for ensuring that manufacturers produce warning labels about how to use things properly and not use it properly in clear, understandable language, and hazard markings on the products. That's not happening, according to Cyril Ramaphosa. Well, whose fault is that? South African government. Who runs that? The African National Congress since 1994. Hence, these deaths are squarely on the shoulders of the ANC, its incompetent bureaucracy, because they neglected food safety, agricultural safety, pesticide control, and the regulation of food distribution. They've completely ignored all of that for 30 years, and now you see the consequences of it. But people have been dying all along. Look, folks, even in a country that has inspectors and inspects food and has the rule of law of the United States, we have thousands of deaths from food poisoning every year. Some of it's because people store the food improperly on their own at home once they get it. Occasionally, it's because of an outbreak of listeria or salmonella poisoning or something like that. But yeah, it's crazy. It's a big move. Is it taxpayers leaving to Uruguay weekly? We got what we voted for. Yeah, exactly. It's a presidential address. Short, sour, and no point. Yeah, at least it was short. The informal work sector has to be... Okay, sorry, you got that. Yep. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Folks, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for being with me. I do have more going on today. That would be, of course, Rugby Ascendant here in about an hour and 45 minutes. So, yeah, an hour and 45 minutes. I'll be on with Ireland hosting Argentina. Looking forward to that. So if you want to tune in for that, yeah, maybe this is suddenly an issue due to the fact that some areas of the government are no longer run by the ANC. I think you're right. I think that's why it is an issue now. Yep. So Trump is still winning with 76,072,000 votes. So it's just under 3 million ahead of Kamala Harris with almost all the votes counted. If I was a conspiracy theorist, which I am, I might think this is a government orchestrated plan meant to get a grip on a mass informal economy. Well, that's what I'm stating unequivocally. That's, I don't know if it's, no crisis is too small to capitalize on. That's what's going on here. I think that's what's taking place here. Off topic about using crisis to take power. People are blaming flooding in Spain on dam removal. I'm looking into that story. I'm not that familiar with the dam situation in Spain. I kind of ignore Spain for the most part. I'll have to look at it, so I don't know the answer. Neville will see me at the rugby. All right, folks, that'll do it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the patience sticking with us. We appreciate it. I'm going to wrap it up here, and I'll be on Rugby Ascendant in about an hour and 40 minutes. So thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Ireland versus Argentina coming up here shortly on Rugby Ascendant. Thanks, folks. For the rest of you not watching rugby, get some rest, sleep well, and we'll see you tomorrow on Rugby Ascendant. Cheers, everybody. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.